Hello, Footballer Nation, and welcome to the greatest rising podcast in football. I'm Carson, and I'm a Cardsaholic who's wearing a Ravens jersey for no reason other than to get Alex to hate.
You disrespectful vermin. Insolent little worm. I'm Alex, and I'm a Billsaholic.
I'm Ian, and I'm a Bearsaholic. We're going to be rage baiting all day. It's going to be great, guys.
For more rage bait, make sure to stay tuned for the rest of the episode. But first, let's roll that wildcard intro. Footballer Nation, what's going on? It's Carson here giving you another quick little disclaimer. So in case you haven't noticed, the wildcard week is already passed. The divisional games are happening right now. Unfortunately, we had some distributing issues and the podcast never went out. So, your wildcard episode is coming out right now, tonight, after this game with the Bills and the Ravens. And your regularly scheduled divisional round episode will still come out as scheduled on either Wednesday or Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. We might have a special guest. So, with that, we hope you enjoy. Footballer Nation, let's ride. Hello, Footballer Nation, and welcome to Footballers Anonymous, coming at you after a crazy wild card weekend. How are we feeling, guys?
You know, how do the Chargers charge her like that? They're a terrible team.
Honestly, but you got to look on the other side of the ball and look at the Vikings. Probably the most terrible team in all of football, if you really think about that
let's not
performance.
stretch that, but,
Other side of the ball, they didn't play
Arnold.
each other.
They didn't play each other.
Yeah, no, the AFC NFC ball.
What?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
The
it's just
ball
a
that
terrible-
It's a
is the...
statement. It's like when you call laces or faces, you call laces or faces AFC or NFC.
I don't think anyone calls that.
I don't think anyone's ever called that, but okay.
I've never called it AFC or NFC, but it just makes sense if you use your brain.
Speaking of the NFC, how about them Cowboys?
Bums, honestly.
Bums.
But then you look at the other side of the ball. Jacksonville Jaguars. What are y'all doing, man? Like, actually.
What?
We're still talking about the Cowboys.
We're still talking about the Cowboys.
They've parted ways with Mike McCarthy
Mutually.
mutually.
They say.
They
They
say.
You know what I think happened? I think Mike McCarthy got tired of Jerry Jones's playing around. Jerry Jones has just a stranglehold on the Cowboys organization as a whole, and they're not going to get anywhere as long as he keeps being GM, and he's not going to give that position up. Part of me thinks that he's almost like he bought the team so he can manage it and do whatever he wants with it, and it's like almost like his little playground to kind of do what he wants with it. And he's not qualified. He hasn't been
No.
qualified since his 7th year of doing it, so
No, not
not
at
a
all.
good general.
No.
Bro's been
Who
GM
knows
since
who,
1989.
Wasn't really qualified. The Titans parted way with Mike Vrabel, but he's been hired by the Patriots as their head coach. A little bit of a reunion. He used to play linebacker way back in the day, and now he is back as their head coach.
By the way, when he says not qualified, we're talking about the Titans as an organization here for firing Vrabel in the first place. I thought that was a terrible move when they did it, and the Titans are just a terrible franchise. They're bums. I don't know what to tell you.
If I were them, I'd put Will Levis at head coach.
They'd get Romeo motivated with that one.
Oh, they would get
They
so motivated with that one. Okay.
While we talk about the Pats have just been a dumpster fire since Brady left. I don't know what their problem is. They just don't know how to. Robert Kraft's going to end up turning into the new Jerry Jones, and the Patriots are just going to be a dumpster fire. They did fire Vrabel, so we give them props there, but they're just a terrible organization.
Honestly, it's just the AFC East, really. When Brady left, save for the Bills, of course, but when Brady left, that whole place crumbled. No one cared about competition anymore. Look at the Dolphins. They're a horrid franchise. They think they can do things they can't. And the Jets, even worse. Their expectations this season crumbled as fast as Aaron Rodgers did last season. So it's just like just very poor from both, you know? Very poor from like the AFC East as a whole.
Well, the Jets have never had expectations. They had that one lucky Super Bowl, and then since then they've just been mediocrity in bottom of the league.
I mean, you gotta
Well,
at least give
we're
them
really
credit for their
wondering.
Super Bowl.
You
You
know,
know,
but
you
we've
look at
been
all these other
wondering-
franchises.
We've been wondering for years when they're going to stop being the doormat of the AFC, and they just don't they just love being a doormat. They love taking out the mud and just absolutely getting coated with it.
Yeah. Just like, and I mean, that too. Like, you could look at that on the NFC side of things, the Giants. What have they done since Eli Manning? The
Nothing.
Giants just like being cakewalked on.
Nothing.
The Giants like just sit there, kind of like Ethan.
We've done Ethan already.
I know, but I'm calling you out again, Ethan.
You're calling out Ethan again. Yeah, Ethan, get your game together.
Why are you
Anyway,
single, Ethan? Come on, Ethan. Step it up.
Michael, you gotta do better this week.
Kind of like the Jaguars as an entire franchise.
Watson ruptured his Achilles again.
Again.
So he got injured again. He's gonna get paid to sit on the couch. But honestly, for the Browns, it's
Did you see
probably better for them.
did you see he posted I don't remember if it was him or a girl he was with or someone. There's a TikTok out there where he is not wearing his boot. And obviously he's supposed to be because that's part of his recovery. Because obviously that's part of his recovery. But if it's true that he was supposed to be wearing that, it is technically a breach of contract, which means he could be dropped without the pay cut, or not without the pay cut, without the salary cap. The salary.
That would be actually really great for the Browns. It's kind of crazy. Like I know, like Deshaun Watson's just a mess of a human being and a football player, but he's playing for the one franchise that might be even worse than just him as a person. Like the Browns are just a dumpster fire, and they're just a terrible franchise.
Shout out Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco is awesome. I mean, he's on the Colts now, which they haven't done anything since Peyton Manning. They haven't won the division in like 10 plus years. They're always mediocrity and just on the quarterback carousel. They've been a terrible franchise as of late.
Especially in the South, bro. What are you doing if you're not winning that? Not in the South, but yeah.
Like the Texans won the South. The Texans won the South, and they're a terrible franchise as it is. They haven't been to an AFC championship, and their team's not even good this year. They just got lucky that they're in the AFC South. We'll talk about them later, though. Ed Reed.
On another
is now
note,
high school
I'm just thinking
offensive
about it. This is so random. Why are the Indianapolis Colts in the AFC South?
Because zoning is insane.
Actually, I know why. Like genuinely, I do know why. So
Enlighten me.
they were obviously originally in the AFC East, which doesn't make much sense either. But
And there was 5 teams.
when the AFC South was created, because we were the division with the 5 teams, they had to move someone, and because the only reason it wasn't the Dolphins is because of their rivalry with like the Bills being so historic. So they moved the Colts instead because the Colts were like not a newer team, but like they were the most South team that's not the Dolphins.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. That's just funny to me. I think I say they're in the AFC South, and I go, wait, what?
They're not South. at
Well,
all.
I mean, it's also like, why are the Cowboys in the NFC East?
This is true.
They should just switch the two.
Yeah. The Prime
They
Video
didn't have
released
similar logos.
the NFL on Prime Instagram account or whatever it was released like a map not too long ago. It was like what would it look like if every team, like each division was zoned with the teams in a given area.
I saw
And
that.
I'm pretty sure the NFC North stayed the exact same.
It did.
Yeah, the NFC North is the only division in football that actually makes 100% sense.
Yeah, on that map, I
No.
remember we were basically with most of the AFC West.
I mean,
Other than
the
Chargers.
West, the West divisions make sense. That's just that
Yeah.
you could flip them around a little bit, but like, yes, the NFC North was the only one that actually stuck together because the Cardinals went with the AFC West, and then
hmm
I think the Broncos went with the NFC West. Yeah.
No, it was the Chargers went with the NFC West
Oh,
because they're in
Yeah.
California, where the Rams are.
what? No.
Yeah, I know.
Alright.
Anyways, in other news, NFL legend Ed Reed is now a high school offensive coordinator in Georgia. This
The
is just
defensive legend playing
Yes.
offensive coordinator. Why, dude? Why, dude?
I mean, you know what? If it works, it works.
But will it work?
Speaking
I mean,
of,
surely it'll work better. Oh, go ahead.
Speaking of will it work, you know what won't work is Deontay Johnson.
Ooh.
What is up with Steelers receivers just being total divas and being terrible at football at the same time?
I don't know, but they
gotta
always
look
seem
at-
to get rid of them. The Steelers always seem to get rid of them like right before they become super divas.
No, it's like right as they started. Mike Tomlin's like great at drafting them. Like the Steelers, I mean, it just highlights them as a franchise. Just I don't get it. That losing 6 straight playoff games, or is it 7 now? Something along the lines
It's
like
6.
6. I mean, part of that is probably because they're just terrible at drafting receivers. Like maybe if they had actual quarterback competency and people catching the ball, and when they catch the ball, they're not throwing a fit on the side at the fans like George Pickens. The Steelers as a whole are just a mess since their Super Bowl versus Arizona.
Thank you for dropping that.
I think it's even worse. I think the fall off didn't start with Arizona, but it started with the Super Bowl against Green Bay.
Oh yeah, true. I
They
forgot about
won
that one.
both, but I think that's where their fall off like really started.
They didn't win versus Green Bay.
You're right.
Speaking of Green Bay, that actually no, we'll talk about them later.
Oh, okay. So with our general news around the NFL being done, there's not nearly as much because, there's not as many games. We do have a whole... Yeah, I know! Because teams were eliminated! We do have a lot of stuff happening in the land of ye old NCAA college football. So let's just jump right into it, guys. Colin Schlee declared for the draft. He's going to be a Tennessee Titan because he's the first overall. They're going to win a Super Bowl. It's going to be amazing. Very excited for it. And I guess on the other side of the ball, Carson Beck withdrew from the NFL draft. He was probably too afraid of Colin Schlee as competition. And accepted a massive payout and transferred to Miami to replace Cam Ward, as if I didn't hate Carson Beck enough. Why? I don't even know. Tyler Warren, the nation's best tight end, declared for the draft from Penn State. That's no real surprise. Tim Tebow and his wife are expecting their first child. That's really exciting. Quinn Ewers will not be returning with Texas next year. Big shocker. Deion Sanders, we talked about the Cowboys. Deion Sanders is in discussions with Jerry Jones for their head coaching position. Coach Prime, I honestly think that'd be hilarious.
I'm going to note on that. I'm pretty sure Deion Sanders put out a statement not too long ago saying that if he were to coach someone in the NFL, he would only want to coach with his sons. So
yes, I believe I did hear something about that. I mean, he also has personal ties with Jerry Jones, so that is something that could happen. I saw on Fox today, I thought it just was worth noting. Fox has ranked Travis Hunter's Heisman season as the third greatest Heisman season by any player ever, only below Barry Sanders and Joe Burrow's seasons. He was ranked above names like Cam Newton, Johnny Manziel. Okay, say what you will about Johnny Manziel. He did kind of suck, but his Heisman season was incredible. And Tim Tebow, I don't like that. No, there's so many things wrong with that. Whatever. And
Recency bias.
Oh, extremely. That's more than recency bias. That's just awful. That's a terrible take. In our 2 games this week, first your game of the week, Drew Aller was exposed as a fraud quarterback. Thank you, Ian, for convincing me to pick Notre Dame over Penn State. They did manage to pull it out 27-24 in the Orange Bowl. Thank you, Ian. They will be moving on to the national championship. In the Cotton Bowl, Will Howard still owned a washed Quinn Ewers, even with a golf ball on his hand. It was gross. Felt terrible. Ohio State beat Texas 28-14. The game was sealed with a scoop and score where Ewers was hit by his old roommate at Ohio State, and he then returned it for the score. That sealed the game. So there's your national championship between Ohio State and Notre Dame. Stay tuned to the end of the podcast, and I'll reveal your game of the week for this week. Gonna be pretty crazy. I mean, who knows what it could be. And also make sure to be following our social media so you can get my predictions for the national champion. That's what happened in college football.
Speaking of golfing, I bet the Raiders are doing a lot of golfing right now with how incompetent of a franchise they are.
I bet they are. Maybe that's why all their scores are so low. Oh.
Except for that one that was like 63-20 last year, but
I guess it's Chargers.
yeah.
Shout out the 6-3 game. Oh, I guess that was the Chicago and Seattle this year. I was thinking of the one that was Minnesota and Las Vegas.
No, that was 3-0, and that was the game before the 63-21 game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That was funny.
Unbelievable, dude.
Okay, so now that we're done with our general news, we're gonna jump right into our segments. Unfortunately, I may have dropped the ball a little bit here and forgotten to ask people for questions. Oops. So we asked you to ask us questions and we answered them. But we asked Ian to ask us a question and we answered it. So Ian, what is our question this week? Keep in mind we do have some extra time, so.
This probably would be a spot to ask like a hot take question, but I'm just gonna ask like a simple question. So it's a little bit of a three-parter. Part one: what's your favorite position in football?
Oh boy.
Part two: who are your top 3 current players in that position?
Current.
Not like skill-wise, but like your own personal like affection for these character players. And number 3: who are your top 3 players at that position all time? And again, not like skill plays, but affection-wise. If you guys want me to start, I'll start. My favorite position is wide receiver. Obviously, that's what I play. I love offense. That's so wide receiver is mine. Currently, my top 3 favorite receivers to watch are Lad McConkey, AJ Brown, and I have to give it to him, DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a beast. All time, Julio Jones is probably my favorite receiver of all time. Alshon Jeffrey is my favorite Bears receiver of all time. He probably is my favorite over Julio, to be honest. And number 3 is a lot more difficult for me, but I think I have to give that to Calvin Johnson, just because of his dominance as a player. If not him, honorable mention to Antonio Brown. I just love watching Antonio Brown play. But I think right now I'm going to give number 3 to Calvin Johnson, just for the beast that he was. Yeah, there you go.
Hold on, I gotta
think of my favorite position. I don't really know.
I feel like in my head for you, it's one of 2,
What do you
maybe
think?
3. I think it's either quarterback or running back, and I have this slight feeling that there's just this random chance that it's linebacker. I don't know why. I feel like it's not linebacker, but I feel like there's just like small part of Alex that just like loves linebacker. Could be insane though.
Defensive side of the ball, but I don't think it's linebacker.
I can go next if you want.
What?
I think I have my answer.
Yeah, you can go next.
Okay, so my favorite position in football is tight end. I just love the position. I love how versatile it is. I just like that they can do kind of anything and everything on the field, and I love seeing the way the position has evolved. I didn't know we were doing current players, this is kind of hard for me, but I think first I'm going to take, obviously for current players that are my favorites to watch, of course I'm going to take Trey McBride. That just seems like a no-brainer. These guys know he's like probably my favorite active player right now, other than Mitch Trubisky. And then I'm going to have to give it to Kyle Pitts. No. No. So I'm going to take Tyler Higbee. I actually really like watching Tyler Higbee.
See, I feel like I have one guy in my mind that fits the description of what you said you like perfectly. And if he's not in your top 3, that's kind of wild to me. Just based off of the criteria you provide.
It's probably not who you think it is. So I want to hear what you say first.
Taysom Hill.
See, okay.
He fits that criteria
Taysom
perfectly.
Hill.
And Taysom Hill is very fun to watch.
Taysom Hill's very fun to watch. The only reason I wasn't really thinking of him right now is because he hasn't done a whole ton as of late.
He's also been very injured. He's had a record performance earlier in the season.
He did, but he hasn't done much otherwise. He would probably my favorite. It would be one of my top 3 favorites if he played more. But I'm gonna actually go T.J. Hawkinson.
That's valid.
I really enjoyed watching him on the Vikings offense. I don't know, him and Tyler. I don't know why Tyler Higbee. He always just seems to have pretty good games when I'm watching, and he's just kind of fun. But shout out Taysom Hill as well, because he's Taysom. Why wouldn't I like him? And as far as all time, Trey McBride again, just Trey McBride. I can't lie, he's amazing. We got, I'm gonna put Taysom Hill on this list. Actually, I'm gonna put Taysom Hill on this list. Taysom Hill will be my 3rd. My 2nd is Jackie Smith. It can't not be Jackie Smith. I have his number on my phone case, 81. It's Jackie Smith.
I will
Just
add for me, top 3 still the same: Julio, Jeffrey, and Calvin Johnson. But I do have to give an also honorable mention to Brandon Marshall. I loved watching Brandon Marshall growing up. Brandon Marshall was a beast. He was an absolute beast. Him and Jeffrey together, insane.
Also, shout out Sam Laporta. I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer.
Ooh.
Sam Laporta, he plays very similarly to the way Trey McBride does. I love the style of play. Very.
See, you're not
Alex.
wrong about the linebacker thing, but I don't know if I can like. Here's the thing. I don't know which linebacker I would pick, and also I don't know how I would do picking favorites. I will say Luke Kuechly was definitely.
Bears Trubisky, Steelers Trubisky, and Bills Trubisky.
And shout out Cardinals Trubisky in the future.
Yo.
Raiders,
Honorable mention Trace McSorley there.
Oh, because I just said Raiders Kyler Murray. We have a prediction. It's not a serious prediction,
Very
but we
serious.
we have an unserious prediction.
It's very
That will
serious.
say is very serious. That Kyler Murray will go to the Raiders and win MVP.
No.
Yes.
He will be
No.
traded to the Raiders
100%
and
fact.
immediately win MVP
100% fact.
Guys, this
and
is
win
a
the
fact.
Super Bowl.
And win a Super Bowl.
You're kind of tempting me to do the linebacker, even though it'll take me like 10 years to figure out who I would list. You want me to do middle linebacker?
I said Brian Urlacher.
Oh.
I said Brian Urlacher, and he goes, middle linebacker?
Oh my god, this is gonna take me like half the pod. You're gonna have to cut out. So you know what? You should give me time to like give me like 10 minutes. Like,
Do we
stop
just
the
wanna-
recording. Give me 10
okay.
minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief break for our commercials.
Mayotivations with Will Levis.
Welcome back from your Will Levis ad break. We now have Alex with his list.
Sorry, chat. I needed some Mayotivation to compile a list. For current, I have Matt Milano because it's Matt Milano. Why would I not pick Matt Milano? Like, it's Matt Milano. Like, what are you gonna do about it? It's Matt Milano. Anyway, shout out Andrew Van Ginkel for making this list because one, his name is awesome, and two, he's just a really good linebacker. He was played in Miami. He's on Minnesota now. He's got that dog in him. He's a good rusher. And then there's Levante David. I put as my 3 for current. Current was a little bit harder for me to draw up than the all-time. The all-time, I have Luke Kuechly, Von Miller, Broncos Von Miller. That's why I didn't put him on the current because not as much anymore. Even though he's on the Bills, he's just not producing as much. But he's older. But Luke Kuechly, Von Miller, and I'm going with a sneaky, fun little pick here for my third on the Saxonville defense, Miles Jack.
Very nice. Luke Kuechly is so awesome.
He is.
I
I was
think,
upset when he
I
retired.
think everyone who grew up watching him loved watching him.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a solid list. Respect there. Are we good? Everyone made their lists?
Yes.
Also, can we, Luke Kuechly, he played for the Panthers, but the Panthers have not been the same since that Super Bowl. They're just such a terrible franchise. I don't understand how incompetent they can be. They're lucky that they have Bryce Young and he's turning it around because if he didn't start turning around, they'd just be in the same spot for another 5 years and they'd just be as incompetent as they've been. Yes.
Is your guys' bit this week just to talk about how incompetent every single bad franchise is?
No.
No.
It's because you've done it so many times.
Well, that's not what it is, buddy.
That's not what it is.
You're as wrong as the Falcons head office. The Falcons just
Speaking
suck.
of the Falcons, are we serious?
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
28 to 3.
The Falcons
So we're
are
just talking about
disgusting.
choking. We're just talking about choking.
No, but speaking
Nope.
of choking, dude, what are the Browns doing with their careers, man? The Browns just haven't done anything. What is the most significant thing the Browns have ever done was go 0-16.
And that was already done by the Lions. Which, speaking of
Exactly.
which, don't
Speaking
let
of
recency
Lions,
bias fool you. The Lions have been a terrible franchise for their entire existence. One of the worst all time.
Lions
We're definitely
are
just
probably
talking
the worst
about-
franchise of all time.
Just franchises being bad. That is your guys' bit.
Okay, but
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head there, but you didn't get 100%.
you did not get it 100%.
What is there to get 100%?
The LA Rams. Yes, they're doing good this year. Yes, they won the Super Bowl. But that in-between section was horrible, dude.
Okay, you're just talking about teams being bad in general.
Well, not
Not
necessarily.
technically. Not technically.
Not necessarily.
This
The Rams
is
are
there's
just-
no technicality about this. Okay.
There is a technicality of this because what we're doing
We're doing something
Isn't just
specific.
talking about how bad they are.
Yes, you're talking about how bad they are. You're
See,
talking about how
I
bad
could
teams are.
no, because I
Yeah,
could
can
just sit here
we
and talk
talk
about
about the
how
incompetent franchise known as the Chicago Bears real quick?
no, because I could sit here and I could just say the Packers are a bad team and just leave it at that. But the Packers aren't just a bad team; they're a bad everything. The Packers haven't been significant since Super Bowl one. Yeah, they've won a few since then, but were they really that good? I mean, I get they won in
You
2010
just
against the Steelers. Like, what was that?
Are you just implying recency bias about every single team?
No, Carson, you are
Not
off of
quite.
it. You're off of it on every level. Kind of like the Green Bay Packers. What do you think, Jordan Love? Really? 55 million a year? For what? For what? I
Has
hate
he
Jordan Love.
surpassed 4,000 yards yet?
No. Jordan, the only thing Jordan Love has done in
Actually,
his
he probably
career,
has, but
the only thing Jordan Love has done in his career that was significant in any way was being named Jordan Love. His name is it. His name is all he has because he's so bad. You know, the Packers' biggest mistake ever was parting ways with Eddie Lacy. You look at Eddie Lacy and you're like, yeah, that's a man who eats cheese. But then they let him go. Because why? Because they're insane. You look all the way back at 1980, what were they doing? Huh? 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 I just don't get it. 1922? What were the Packers doing? Oh, nothing, because they were the Acme Packers.
speaking of the 80s and having only one relevant year under your belt, 1985 Chicago Bears has been the only
Having
year
only
the Steelers
one
have
relevant
ever-
year is insane. How
That's
about the Bills? How about the
awful.
Bills' most relevant 4 years being losing the Super Bowl 4 times in a row?
Exactly. Like, what the?
What do you
like,
do? What? How do you
How do
manage
you
to
go
do
0
that?
and 4 in 4 straight
How-
Super Bowls?
Okay, I got it.
It's-
I got it. Your bit is that you're
Mm,
hating every single franchise. You are hating on every single franchise. Every franchise, you are hating on every single franchise. That is your bit.
Yeah.
And
I
we're not
literally
done
knew
yet.
it as soon as Alex opened up the podcast with the Chargers choking. I was like, okay, well, it's something along
How many
those
teams did we
lines.
hit? How many teams did we hit, Alex?
We have 11 more to hit.
Oh, okay.
And Alex
pretty
brought
good.
up, and then Alex brought up the Cardinals Super Bowl in 2009, and I was like, okay.
I didn't even mark the
Cool.
Cardinals. So we have 10 more.
You brought up both of our Super Bowl runs actually.
Which is kind of funny to me because who has the ring here?
Speaking
If
of
the
teams
ring
that-
is older than you, it doesn't
You
count.
do.
If the ring is older than you, it doesn't count.
Really, Carson.
How many of us have seen our teams in the Super Bowl? Yeah, oh, I forgot we had this discussion. You were there, I forgot.
I was in the womb for 06 as well. I watched that through my mother's stomach.
Speaking of teams without rings that we've seen in the Super Bowl, what are the Bengals doing? Like, are we serious right now? You missed the playoffs with
Guys,
Joe Burrow and the Triple Crown receiver
no.
and the
your
sack
bit is
leader.
over.
Alex,
Your bit is
Alex,
over. You don't get to keep
Alex.
piling.
The Bills won a ring in '87.
What,
It's such a
why
funny
was I
joke.
told about this?
It's such a funny joke. All right, can we continue now?
Yes.
Oh,
We
guys,
can.
the Bears won the ring in 2025.
Yeah, we will. The Bears will win a Super Bowl ring sooner than the Bills will.
This is not true.
Hot take.
Ian,
The Cardinals will be the next team to win a Super Bowl here.
Okay,
Hot
no.
take.
that's more reasonable than the Bears, but
It's really not actually, considering
It's
our
really
problems
not,
are
'cause then,
way less than yours.
what?
We're already fixing
Tyler
one.
Murray's going to the Raiders. And
We're getting our coach and we're fixing the O line, and then
We
we're
already
contenders.
have our coach.
I said we're getting our coach and our O line, and we're contenders. It's
He'll be
as simple as that.
forever owned by
You
the
guys have way
49ers.
more. You guys have way more
Speaking
root
of the
seeded.
49ers, the 49ers are terrible.
Up next, usually would be our stat line of the week, but I'm gonna change it up for the playoffs. I'm gonna make it the Not Him Award of the Week. Shout out Chris on TikTok who does weekly NBA videos. Kind of took this from him. Basically, it's just someone who didn't perform like they were supposed to. Gonna take a look away from the funny part of the stat line, actually, And after much debate with my inner voices, I'm gonna give it to Sam Darnold. Okay, just like I had to debate with my inner ghost, he lost to his inner ghost. Honorable mention Justin Herbert, but more was expected out of Sam Darnold, and nothing was delivered from Sam Darnold. So, therefore, he's your Not Him of the week.
I mean, if
I
I'm
feel
being
more was
honest,
expected
I
from
feel like
Herbert.
more was expected from Justin Herbert.
If
What
I'm
was
being
expected from
honest,
the-
Sam Darnold just had a career season, led his team to 14-3, was the 5th seed, and was expected to go into Arizona and dominate the Rams, and it did not happen at all.
The Vikings have more expectations, but Justin Herbert had more expectations.
I actually think we probably believed in the Vikings more than like most people.
That's a valid statement. That is definitely a valid statement, saying that Justin Herbert compared to the full Vikings as a whole. But I still, honestly, I not even like personally, I just still think Sam Darnold performed way worse under the pressure because like, after the Chargers game, it was, oh, look at that, Herbert comes up short again. But after and there's a bunch of it, all about that. But after the Vikings game, it was all about how he was prime Jets Sam Darnold. They were comparing playoff Sam Darnold to Jets Sam Darnold, which is insane in and of itself. I'm sticking with Sam Darnold. I can 100% understand Justin Herbert. He was definitely number two. Honestly, 1A, 1B, but it's Darnold for me.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I don't agree, but like I get it.
It's caught in the back of the end zone. Speaking of the Commanders, like Dan Snyder.
Dude,
ruined your
you don't
franchise.
get to keep counting towards the bit after I figure it out. That's how we did the Marvel quotes. That's how this works.
No, but we'll have a before count, but we still have to hit all the franchises.
No, you really don't. You're just
We
gonna
do.
keep.
You
added.
You said at the beginning of the episode it was a rage bait episode. So that's your fault.
Guys, can we continue?
Yes, Alex, you're next.
Oh. Comment of the week. It's from Ian. It's just hashtag Alex Joza because he's been commenting it everywhere, including on Footballers Anonymous posts. It's been everywhere, so it's got to be comment of the week. Speaking of things that have been absolutely everywhere, the Ravens picks
All right.
and MVP picks.
Anyway, the Alex Joseph meme is still massive. Honestly, massive.
You know what else is massive? The Chiefs' chances of beating the Texans, even though that were a terrible franchise before Patrick Mahomes got there, and Patrick Mahomes is not all that. You cannot compare him to Tom Brady. The Chiefs are not anything without the refs. The Chiefs are a terrible franchise.
Okay, moving on. Obviously, we had a lot of teams eliminated from Super Bowl contention this week, and even though they did make it to the playoffs, they're still out now. So it is only fair that we honor them just like we have honored every other team. So with that, we're going to get right into it. And up first are the LA Chargers. This was the doing of the dirty bubble. If you know, you know. This is for those who know. Next, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers country, let's well. Next, the Denver Broncos. Bo Leave. I know it sounds like a cat poster, but it's true. Shout out the Lego Movie. Next, the Green Bay Packers, who deserve no silence. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I forgot to make a post for.
He forgot to make a post.
That's it. I forgot to make a post.
Carson.
Speaking
Next.
of the ball,
We're not done, Alex! Silence for the eliminated teams! Bro. And lastly, the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold is seeing ghosts out there. The Minnesota Vikings.
a purple incarnation of Satan.
Yeah, so now we're going to cue my favorite Tom Grossi clip ever right now.
I am miserable. But watching the Vikings get blown out makes me feel at least a little better. Score!
Oh, we are.
I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, I
And
have
after
to.
that,
I have to
we're gonna
include
do
the.
And then after that, we're going to include the actual better one right here.
Wait, what?
There's no clip.
Oh, there you guys go.
Speaking of having no clips this season,
No
So guys,
clips.
now I'm going to take my due time to talk about the Bears a little bit. Not much really to say, obviously. But we've been going through our head coaching candidates. We have interviewed a lot, and we are requested and expected to interview a lot. I'm just going to run through that list really quick because it's a lot. Starting with people we have interviewed. David Shaw, former Stanford offensive coordinator. Thomas Brown, Chicago's current interim head coach. Ron Rivera, Washington's head coach. Aaron Glenn, Detroit's defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson, Detroit's offensive coordinator. Mike Kafka, New York Giants offensive coordinator. Pete Carroll, former Seattle head coach. Anthony Weaver, Miami DC. Drew Petzing, Arizona offensive coordinator. Mike Vrabel, former Tennessee head coach, current New England head coach. We are not getting him. And Mike McCarthy, former Dallas head coach. We have requested and or are expected to interview Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame head coach, Matt Campbell, Iowa State head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, Washington offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, Buffalo offensive coordinator, Brian Flores, Minnesota defensive coordinator, and Arthur Smith, Pittsburgh offensive coordinator. Of those people, the only ones I want, Ben Johnson 1, McCarthy 2, Brady 3. It was for me Johnson or Vrabel. Vrabel's gone. So now if it's not Johnson, I want it to be Brady. If it's not Brady, then I guess the best option is Mike McCarthy, which scares me a little bit. But other than that, yeah, that's just what's going on with the Bears right now.
You know, what I'll say is you've interviewed Pete Carroll, and we haven't dissed the Seahawks yet.
No, we're not dissing everyone anymore. We're done.
But Carson, there's only 7 teams left.
Too
There's
bad.
10 teams left.
The Seahawks, the Ravens, the Commanders, the Saints, the Eagles, the Broncos, and the Buccaneers.
You also dissed the Ravens.
Did I?
You talked
Bro has
about
not been paying attention to the teams. I've been paying more attention to the teams you've dissed than you have. Bro's
it.
slacking.
We're at 10 left.
Also, Ian, are you not going to talk about Caleb Williams calling his new head coach?
Oh yeah, some people got a hold of Caleb Williams' number and pretended to be Ben Johnson, which he seemed very excited for. And then he FaceTimed him, and it was just these teen boys, and he was like, "Damn,
Yeah.
how was that?"
That's pretty funny. How do you just get a hold of Caleb Williams'
Who
number?
knows, man? How do you get a hold of anyone's number? It's like when those people. It's like when this group of boys FaceTimed. I think it was someone on the Buccaneers. Like they found their number, FaceTimed them, and then they like talked to Tom Brady for like 5 seconds.
I don't know, man. It's kind of funny, though. As far as the Cardinals go, honestly, not really much to say for us. The only things to talk about with our team were really involving the Rams. So we'll just talk about that when we talk about that game. I don't know. Just kind of enjoying we ended the season on a high note. Undefeated in 2025. Imagine not being undefeated in 25, right, Ian?
I know, right? Couldn't
Crazy.
imagine that.
You know who else isn't undefeated in 2025 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who just...
They just lost,
Alex-
so they're not undefeated in 2025. So
just
way to go.
Is no franchise.
No way to go. You didn't even get it right.
Okay.
I said, who isn't undefeated?
Oh, that's not true though. Actually,
They're
that's
not
true.
undefeated. That's what I said.
I heard it is.
Int.
Okay, so now normally this is the part of the podcast where we would get to our power rankings. However, now that we're in the playoffs, we are going to change it up a bit, and rather than going and talking about each of the top teams in power ranking form, we're just going to go through and talk about every game that happened. And we have a couple notes listed up here, but really we're just going to kind of give our own just impressions and talk about them. We'll still give you our playoff power rankings for the teams that are still in at the end, but we're going to heavily focus on the games that we're playing. So with that, we are going to start with the first wild card game, and the one that's result I think probably shocked us the most was the Chargers at the Texans.
Oh boy.
Shout
Justin
out SpongeBob.
Herbert.
Shout out SpongeBob.
The SpongeBob broadcast was so good. I loved watching it so much.
For those who didn't watch it, the dirty bubble, when the Chargers were leading 6-0 in that game, it captured Jim Harbaugh and like basically ate him, and then the Chargers choked. So that's why Carson referred to the dirty bubble ending their season. Justin Herbert had the 4th worst passer rating in a playoff game since 2015, behind Brian Hoyer, Connor Cook, and Drew Brees. And Drew Brees,
is Brady, by the way.
Brees when his arm was completely shot, and it was
Yeah,
against the Buccaneers.
it made sense.
Still crazy though.
Oh, still crazy.
So shout out the 2 Cardinals quarterbacks right behind them.
Yeah, Carson
Kyler
Palmer
Murray.
and Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Man,
Crazy.
not one of those games was the game against the Panthers, and the other was against them in 21. C.J. Stroud finally overcame the Jim Harbaugh curse. He was the only Ohio State quarterback to lose back-to-back games against Michigan, which the Ohio State-Michigan game in college football is known as the game. He's the only one to lose it back-to-back. Both of those losses were to Jim Harbaugh, and then even after he came to the NFL and thought he was safe from Jim Harbaugh led Michigan to win the Natty in NRG Stadium, just further asserting his dominance over C.J. Stroud. And so this was his 4th year playing him, and he finally overcame Jim Harbaugh. Because you can't cheat in the NFL. What? I didn't say that. Jim Harbaugh's not a cheater. Shout out Connor.
I think Ohio State fans.
You guys are
a little
giving me
soft.
looks like you don't know what that is.
No, I know. I just
No,
disagree.
I'm more so on the side of you being like, you can't cheat in the NFL when one of the biggest cheating scandals
That was a
of
joke.
our time came in the NFL.
That was a joke. You can definitely cheat in the NFL.
Deflate.
Which
But you
was-
can't sign steal in the
People
NFL.
complain about the deflate gate. They ran for 297 yards anyway.
True.
A deflated football wasn't going to change that.
They beat it like 41-7.
That
Like,
too. Like it's what are you even talking about? In my opinion, it's easier to grip a fully inflated football than it is to grip a deflated football anyway.
I mean, I guess it depends on the situation, but yeah.
It's no, because it's so hard to throw a deflated football.
That's true.
I don't know though, guys. I don't know, guys.
Speaking
Yeah.
of a deflated franchise where their only inflation is Drew Brees, let's talk about this, how incompetent the Saints are without Drew Brees.
Dude, stop. I'm just going to start cutting out your hate.
No, but there's 4 teams left.
Yeah, but it's also eating up all the time. So yeah, this was a rough game. Shout out to Ian for calling Justin Herbert the most accurate quarterback in the NFL at the beginning of this game.
Still stand by it. Still stand by that.
I don't think
One
that's
bad
the
game.
most outrageous claim.
One bad game is not going to determine that.
Oh no, but it's still hilarious that you said that at the very beginning of this game, of all games. Like the
And
timing
it
there
wasn't
is
like
just
before it
impeccable.
started. It was like during the game, like a couple minutes in.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was.
He threw a beautiful
Impeccable
ball.
timing
Threw a beautiful ball.
to the wrong man.
To the other team.
No, to his team. When I said the message.
Oh yeah, and then he threw a bunch of beautiful balls to the other team. He throws the he throws the most beautiful interceptions.
No, that's not him.
Who do you have an answer?
I'm thinking right now.
Say that was that one interception was beautiful. The pick six, that was
Jameis Winston throws the most beautiful interceptions because they're Jameis Winston interceptions.
that might be true. I might
No,
agree
Mitch
with you on that.
Trubisky would throw the most beautiful interception because he would do it on purpose.
True.
Trubisky would never throw an interception.
He
Look at
no,
that.
he would
Zero,
throw
zero career interceptions.
he would throw an interception purely to be kind to the other team.
No, he wants to beat the teams into the ground. He's winning 173 million to 2.
And he could still throw a pick in there if he wanted to.
He wouldn't though.
He taunts them.
Hey, you can't throw a pick when you're only throwing tutties.
No, but see, here's the thing. He would throw a pick and it would still somehow end up being a tutty for him.
Because he'd strip sack him and recover it all the way, and it would just void the interceptions. Therefore, it wouldn't count. Boom.
Yeah.
Anyway, the
Anyways.
next game of the week was the Steelers going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Went exactly as expected. The Ravens kind of smacked Mike Tomlin on his little.
All the AFC games were abysmal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Correct.
the AFC
Not really-
competition
not really
was really
much.
sad.
Not really much to say about Steelers Ravens. Other than
Awesome.
Steelers fulfilled expectations.
So I
Should've
do
played
wanna-
Justin Fields more.
While we're talking about the AFC, I do want to point something out that I saw the other day. So this is the second time in NFL history that the same 4 AFC teams have moved on to the divisional round ever, like in back-to-back years.
For
But-
the year last time was the Ravens and the Patriots and the.
I have all
Um,
this information up if you just want me to say it. Yeah.
Well,
So
I want to guess. Is the Broncos and the Colts?
I believe so. I don't have that.
The
It's all
Bron-
about the
wait,
Ravens.
Why would it be
'cause
the
I'm-
Broncos and the Colts at the same time?
I know it's about the Ravens.
Those
I've
teams,
seen
those
this.
teams weren't relevant at the same time.
Tim Tebow.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Shout
was
out
only thinking
Tim
about Peyton
Tebow. So yes, it was 2011 and 2012. In those years, I'm just gonna tell you exactly what happened. Maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. In 2011, the Ravens had a first round bye. They played at home in all of their games and lost in the AFC Championship in humiliating fashion. In 2012, the Ravens had one home playoff win and then had to go on the road for the rest of the playoffs and won the AFC Championship against the same team that beat them the last year in heartbreaking fashion. The Ravens then went on to go and win the Super Bowl in New Orleans with their 28-year-old quarterback, Joe
I've
Flacco.
seen this.
Yes. The next in 20
What was the score of that
conveniently-
game? What was that score of that game?
I actually don't know that score.
The-
I can
both
look
of
it
them-
up.
Both of their Super Bowls were won with 28-year-old quarterbacks, and the score of both was, I believe, 34-7.
Yes, the same thing happened. The 12 years
Both their
before.
quarterbacks, both their quarterbacks were 28 years old. Both
Yep.
games were won 34-7. 12 years, 12 years, 12 years.
Conveniently, in 2023, the Ravens had a first-round bye, played all their games at home, lost in the AFC Championship in humiliating fashion. They now have the opportunity in 2024 to have their first playoff win at home and go on the road against the Bills. Let's say they beat the Bills and the Chiefs beat the Texans, because that's probably what will happen. They will then go and play the Chiefs, the same team that beat them in heartbreaking fashion last year. They have the chance to beat the Chiefs, go to the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and win it with their 28-year-old quarterback, Lamar Jackson, fulfilling the 12-year, 28 quarterback trend.
You know what's interesting?
What?
It was actually the Texans that were in the 2011-2012 seasons.
Oh.
Broncos, Patriots, Texans, Ravens. Texans got beat both times, but
Yeah.
we're there.
But they were there.
They existed. I think both times actually lost to the... No, 2011 they lost to the Ravens.
So, we could
2012
be
they lost to the Patriots.
we could be seeing some lazy script writing this season in the AFC.
Are you serious?
We'll find
Okay,
out.
it wasn't that they both won both games 34-7. They won both games with 34 points. Their 2001 Super Bowl was 34-7. Their 2013 Super Bowl was 34-31.
Honestly, they did not beat the Niners 34-7.
No.
34-31. So it's 12 years apart with a 28-year-old quarterback putting up 34 points.
Potential for the same thing to happen again this time, with an identical road to the playoffs as they had in their second.
Of course, the Bills are the...
And the Bills are standing in the way of that, so, good luck, Alex.
Speaking of the Bills, Alex, want to take this game away?
Oh, do I? Speaking of the Broncos, they got slightly eviscerated in this game. Just slightly.
Great opening drive, though.
It was a great opening drive, actually.
That was
Nick's
cool.
had a great pass. I was applauding him. Like, that was a great deep bomb down the field. I love the Broncos, as y'all should know if you've seen our episodes, but we had to do what we had to do.
That
Kick 'em
was
out.
we didn't write this down. That was the only ever rookie to rookie touchdown pass in playoff
That's
history or
true.
wild card history. I don't remember which one.
Playoff history.
Playoff
Who was
history.
the receiver? Was it something Franklin?
It was
It was
Franklin.
Franklin.
I didn't know he was over. Oh, I was thinking of Tim Patrick. Yeah. Never mind.
They also both went to Oregon.
Yeah. The Broncos have been quite bad since Super Bowl 50. And they finally make the playoffs after like 9 years and get stomped in the first round. But they do have a bright future ahead of them. But it was definitely not a good look the past 10 years.
Should have been the Bengals.
Well, I'd rather be the Broncos if I'm being honest. Also,
Of course you would.
yeah. It was Jim Nance's 500th game. Congrats to him.
Shout out Jim Nance. Jim Nance is my favorite broadcaster.
I don't know, Jim.
When I watch games that he's commentating, it takes me back to when I would play Madden 16 before going to school.
Oh man.
Good times.
So shout out Jim Nance. Jim
Yeah.
Nance, come on the pod.
Shout out the
Please.
Commanders for not being in Madden 16 because Dan Snyder was an awful owner and was trying to ruin their franchise and succeeded for the longest while before they became the Commanders and sold the team.
Also, there was a clip of a referee in the Bills Broncos game apologizing to Josh Allen for a missed call.
Lesson.
That's insane.
not-
That's insane. I'm sorry. You can't tell me otherwise. That's insane. I don't care who it is. That's
Josh said that the referee was coming over to tell him to stop yelling. So I'm gonna be personally inclined to believe Josh, even though it's not the most believable statement. But
Well,
let's be real. If it was the Chiefs, that would not have been a missed call because it was a blatantly missed hold by Pat Surtain. Also, shout out Mack Hollins for absolutely stirring the pot in that game. Literally with the pot stir, but he just like stomped over Pat Surtain and absolutely demolished their punt returner.
yeah,
Oh,
as
yeah.
he was doing all that off of one reception. So
He's more of an all-around
good for you.
player.
Good for you, guy. Good for you, buddy.
He's more of
Mack
an
Hollins
all-around
is
player.
just
You're
that
a
kind of guy.
hater.
I do not
You
like
are
Mac Hollins.
Hater.
I do not like Mac
don't
Hollins.
like Matt Collins at all.
I really don't.
Y'all are crazy.
The really, like, it's.
He's got that dog in him.
He really doesn't.
Shout out Mack Wilson for
One
being
reception.
the best Mac.
One reception, really? He has a dog in him? Okay, dude.
Did you not see the tackle in the? He was going crazy that game.
I saw his, one tackle and one reception
All right.
off of nothing else. Also,
You know who didn't have a reception or a tackle this week? The entire Seahawks team. So I don't want to hear it because the Seahawks weren't in
next
the.
up,
They're
next
bums.
game we had to start off the NFC side of the ball. We had the Packers going into Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, and they got manhandled. If it wasn't for a weak passing game from Philadelphia, this game would have been way, way more open. The final score was 22-10. Packers just couldn't get anything going. Jordan Love got exposed like he always does. He is not beating the Toyota-thon allegations. Yeah.
Toyota-thon allegation.
I
How
really
did you
have much to-
explain the
I-
Toyota-thon allegations? We've
So,
talked
the
about it, but I don't think
Toyota-thon-
we've ever explained it.
Toyota-thon allocations is essentially Jordan Love plays his best football during a Toyota-thon. Before the Toyota-thon this year, he had. Oh, let me just check to make sure.
All time, he has 28 touchdowns and 26
Yeah, it was-
interceptions, not
yeah.
during a Toyota-thon. And when there's a Toyota-thon, he is 28-2 for his touchdown interception ratio. Absolutely insane, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
that's just insane.
So obviously, you saw it this year. He had a little bit of an end of season come up, if you even want to call it that. He still played bad. Second Toyota-thon ended. He lost to the Bears and he lost to the Eagles both in humiliating fashion. So
Now, I'll
Yeah.
tell you what about the Eagles. If their offense doesn't get it together for the Rams, then you have a very big potential to be upset because if they get that offense versus the Rams, they're gonna lose.
Listen, I've been.
And then it's just gonna be
Actually,
another terrible
I'll wait to talk about this
situation
until
for the Eagles franchise because they only have one Super Bowl, and besides that Super Bowl, but won by Nick Foles.
But yeah,
All right.
I said the same thing. Like I said, they have a very, very weak passing game this week. If they need to step it up next week, or it's not going to go well for them.
Anyway, me and Ian have officially hated on every single team in this video.
It's not even me and Ian
This
anymore.
podcast. Well,
just
you
you.
contributed. You contributed.
It still doesn't
Next
count though
up.
because I figured it out before.
Sunday night football. Probably, would I call this? No, I wouldn't.
Shout out to all of
yeah,
us
definitely not.
for not watching this game and instead, what were we playing? Roblox Squid Game?
I watched it. I watched the whole
I
game.
watched it.
We didn't play that until after the game.
No, we did because we were on it and
We
Ian
played
says
Fortnite Squid Game. We played Fortnite Squid Game.
Fortnite.
During
Yeah,
the
because I know I had it up over here and I was like
Mhm.
occasionally
No,
watching.
I watched this whole game.
Same.
It was a really good game. For the most part, it was a really good game. 23-20 came off a doink field goal to win.
Mike Evans absolutely owned Marshawn Lattimore and then proceeded
Amazing.
to lose.
Amazing.
hmm
They lost off a Baker Mayfield fumble. It was he just kind of dropped it. It was a fake wide receiver jet sweep. Just kind of hit the receiver weird, kind of bounced out of his hands, and Washington recovered. The Tampa Bay defense was playing amazing the entire game. They had multiple stops in the red zone, multiple fourth down stops. They were playing great, and the offense just couldn't finish in the red zone. It was a really good game. So
Listen, I've talked. I mean, if you watched our midseason picks, you know that I did pick the Commanders to win this game. I've definitely jumped on the Jaden Daniels hype train a little bit. And I know it's controversial, and honestly, I'm probably wrong, but I still don't have confidence in the Lions. There is a good chance that the Commanders are going to put up a much better fight against the Lions than people think it's going to be. And while I did actually pick the Commanders to win this, I posted something the other day, and I was like, you know what? Let's go. Jaden Daniels is going to win. That's all I have to say.
Carson's very convinced that the Lions will not make the Super Bowl.
Yes, I'm honestly not even convinced that they'll make it.
shout out the Commanders. Their last 5 wins have been won as like on the final play from the line of scrimmage.
Carson's basically saying that both the Bills and Ravens are going to wash the Lions if they play them in the Super Bowl.
I am convinced that the winner of the Bills-Ravens game will win the Super Bowl. I've said that before. I'm
I'm
saying it
honestly
now.
inclined to agree, but I can't say that. Like, the Ravens aren't going to win a Super Bowl. I can't say that. Or else I'm just going against my morals and my standards. I have
You do you,
standards,
man.
people. I can't root for no bird. A bird? Seriously?
Birds are hype, bro.
Not Ravens. What is this? Edgar Allan Poe?
To close out Wild Card Weekend, Monday Night Football, we had the Vikings and the Rams going into Arizona to play their match. The Vikings only put up 9 points in this contest, and the Rams put up 27.
So much for Sue in 2 weeks.
Very much so.
Yikes.
Or Kevin O'Connell. This game was obviously being held in State Farm Stadium because of all the wildfires going on in LA. Cardinals owner, Carson, Michael Bidwell, take it away.
Yeah, he just straight, as soon as he heard about how bad things were getting, he offered up the Cardinals facilities for the game. Super cool. So it was announced that the game would be held in our stadium on Thursday night, and in that time, our owner Michael Bidwell sent 2 team planes to LA. He took so many people and a couple dogs and cats to Arizona. He ordered 200 gallons of paint for the field, ordered concessions for over 60,000 people, and sold 52,000 tickets in the first 2 hours of selling. So it was really cool. I obviously did not love seeing the Rams take over our stadium. They kept doing their "Whose house? Rams house" chant in my house. So didn't really love that, but
Carson,
so I
yes, he was.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
he's
my
currently
house.
there right now, actually.
He's actually right in State
Yeah, I'm
Farm
actually
Stadium.
in State Farm Stadium. Michael Bidwell's like right out there. But actually, I kept sending stuff to the guys today and yesterday too about this game. And I was like, sometimes it is kind of hard for me to hate the Rams. I think out of all the teams in my division, they're the one that I hate the least, I guess. And I mean, with the Fires, it was good to see them get a win. I obviously didn't like that it happened in our stadium, and watching them transform our stadium into the Rams, that was kind of gross. But it was still cool to see. And I mean, we can talk about the Vikings all night. Yikes.
The Rams have the same amount of wins in State Farm Stadium in 2025 as the Cardinals do.
Oh, in 2025. Okay. Yes,
Yeah,
that is
that's
true.
right.
I was like, what? Shout out the Chiefs. When the Super Bowl was in Arizona, getting more wins that season than the Cardinals did.
Actually, shout out the Rams, because you would think that you think that they're an old team, but they're the third youngest team on average.
Yeah, actually, that makes sense. I mean, they've got Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, but other than that, they've got some really young guys on that squad.
They've filtered out a lot of people. That's why they used to be a lot older, and they've built really well. Everyone was like, yeah, they're done after the Super Bowl because they don't have draft picks now. They just hit on all their late picks.
The Rams did set a great performance of 9 sacks in this game. Sam Darnold was sacked 6 times in the first half and then 3 in the rest of the game. So they've definitely hit.
I think that's going to be crucial. They're going to be exploiting that.
Third on playoff teams. I guess that was just a playoff team list, but still.
Still, that is still impressive. I think, but yeah, going back to that, I think the 9 sacks against the Vikings, that just shows they're gonna be hitting hard on Jalen Hurts, and I mean the passing attack is already struggling. They're gonna have to figure something out because that defensive line is nasty and is gonna get after him. We'll see how Saquon.
But that
goes
Philadelphia
against it.
offensive line is nastier.
This is true.
There was a play versus the Vikings where one of their D linemen absolutely just hit a sumo move on Sam Darnold when he was going to tackle him. He just went in the air and did a full starfish. Just boom.
Yeah, it was cool. Sad to see the Vikings season end that way with two losses where they only got 9 points. Just terrible. Just terrible for them. 4 losses all season against 2 teams. The Lions and the Rams. They lost to both of them twice. Back to back both times. Just brutal. The Vikings' future is bright, though. I know Alex said it earlier. Vikings' future is very probably with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll say this too, just about that streak. The Vikings played in 4 different locations for that stuff as well. Now that the Rams game was in Arizona, so they had their fair share of losing spots for 2 teams.
Rams stand a very good chance against the Eagles. I think the Rams will beat the Eagles, but it all depends on Matthew Stafford. I've I've been talking to these guys about it. We bring up the top 5 quarterback conversation a lot. Matthew Stafford is a top 5 quarterback for me, and he's slowed down because he's getting old. But I mean, when it matters, he gets it done. He was balling. Kyron Williams had a slow start, but they didn't need him very much, and he definitely got rolling at the end of the game.
The Rams really did answer my biggest concern with them coming into the playoffs. Obviously, they put up that 44-point game against Buffalo, and they put very disappointing offensive performances up afterwards. Going into this game, putting up 27 against that Minnesota defense really did smooth out my concerns for their offense. But the only thing that gives me any hesitation to fully believe in their offense is the fact that they again put up 44 and then put up 4 very disappointing performances. So they could very easily go into Philadelphia, who has another amazing defense, and just not put up the numbers we expect.
Yeah. So that was Wild Card Weekend. Lots of, I don't want to say disappointing games, but not a lot of competition throughout. Definitely weeding out a lot of fraudulent teams. The divisional round should hopefully be much more exciting. Good football to watch. Should be fun. So now we're going to just give you our power rankings for all 8 teams. It should be noted all of our power rankings were very different, like very different. So these results were very interesting. We did have one tie, which I'll mention when we get through it. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of go up the list. First off, at number 8 out of the 8 teams left, we have the Houston Texans. At number 7, we have the Washington Commanders. At number 6, which was tied with number 5, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. At number 5, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. At number 4, we have the Los Angeles Rams. At number 3, we have the Baltimore Ravens. At number 2, we have the Detroit Lions. And at number 1, we have the Buffalo Bills. Again, very different. However, it should be noted, still better than Pete Prisco's, no matter what he puts out.
Only thing I want to note is that I had the Eagles at 4. These guys are sleeping on them. They are.
I don't even think it's that we're sleeping on them.
Or
you guys are
terrible.
putting a lot of negative energy their way, and I think would vote you are sleeping on them.
They did not look good versus the Rams, and I objectively think that if they bring the Packers, and I think if they bring that offense to the
zero
Rams.
ball knowledge out of this guy. He doesn't even know what team they play.
Casual of the week.
What a casual of the week, Alex Josa. # Alex Josa.
Wow.
So there we go. So those are our power rankings. Again, better than Pete Prisco.
You didn't even let me finish my sentence.
Yeah, hold on.
I hit you guys with the games
Hold
of the
on,
week.
Alex. I would like to hear this from you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I said the Eagles' offense did not look good versus the Green Bay Packers, and frankly hasn't looked good the past couple weeks in general.
That's interesting.
I mean, okay, they blew out the Cowboys.
I mean, Kenny,
The past 3
Kenny
weeks,
Pickett.
Jalen Hurts was out with a concussion.
Right.
This was his first game back, and it was their passing game that looked weak. Saquon and their running game still looked amazing. Their defense was amazing as it has.
Yeah, now
Again,
that we're talking about
it should be noted,
Saquon
putting
was
them
held under his general expectation. Obviously, still great, but for Saquon numbers, obviously Saquon's going to do
Again,
Saquon things. But the
6
offense in general,
6 in the playoff power rankings. That is not. I mean, all of these teams are good
Saquon was
teams.
up to 119 yards, which for Saquon terms, that's not. It's average.
And it should also be noted that a good reason that Saquon even got that many yards is because they were just trying to end the game in that last quarter and just running it on almost every play.
Which he also went down on one play 20 yards early to stop from getting a touchdown.
True.
And another thing, it's hard to get a running game going if you can't get a passing game going. And that was the Eagles' biggest struggle. They could not get a passing game going, so it's harder for them to get a run game going.
Exactly, which is why they're low.
Which is why we're saying
You're just
that
proving our point.
I'm not proving your point. I'm saying they had a bad passing game.
Correct.
That they're going to get destroyed by the Rams defense.
They're not going to get destroyed by the Rams. It's going to be a very competitive game.
The pass rush of the Rams is dangerous, and they show that they can put on really good pressure. And if they shut down the Eagles' passing offense, they can focus heavy on Saquon Barkley and make that their score.
And here's what I will say about that.
And the Rams can ramp up the numbers.
The Eagles' offense is the Eagles' offensive line is way better than the Vikings' offensive line. on the not on the other side. Yeah, on the other side. The Rams defense is very weak in the secondary. Yes, they have it. They have it on the ground. They have it on the front line. Their defensive line and their linebackers is pretty decent, but their secondary is not that great. So all Saquon will really need is one good block up front to get going, as has been the case all season. And it's gonna be a lot easier to open up the top of the passing game with their secondary being a lot weaker. And
I
again,
can see it.
this was Hurts.
That
was
are they
Hurts.
going to deliver?
This was Hurts' first game back after 3 weeks of being out with a concussion.
It's not us saying
Yeah,
Hurts
we
was
know the
bad.
concussion's not gonna magically go away. That's gonna obviously he's got to work through that stuff, but at the same time,
But that's the thing. He's working
he
through
doesn't
it.
have time to. These are
You
playoff
can't.
games.
You
He
can
had a
say
full
it's an
week, and now he's
excuse,
getting a
and it's a
whole nother
very
full week.
valid excuse. But you can't say that. Well, that was last week, so it's magically going to get fixed this week. It's not. It's an issue, and that's part of why we think the Rams are going to win.
It's not saying I'm not saying it's gonna magically go away. I'm saying it was. I didn't say. I'm not saying the concussion was a problem. I'm saying it was his first game back in 3 weeks.
We know,
And he's
And
got to
we're
work
saying
through that. And
that
he's
first
working through that
game
against an amazing
weeks
defense.
was not good.
I'm going to argue. Well, I don't know. I feel like the Packers defense is definitely better than the Rams defense.
Ian say
Definitely
something
better.
good about the Packers challenge. Not
Well,
impossible.
it just is. Their defense is better.
It is, but also the Rams defense is not.
The Packers defense is
substantially
more consistent than the Rams defense. I will agree with you on that.
I don't
When
think
the
it's
Rams
consistency.
defense
I think overall just better.
is, when the Rams defense is at
Especially in
its
the
best,
secondary. Again, the
it is
Rams
better.
secondary is weak. Very weak.
I don't know. This is going to be competitive, but LA stands a chance.
And that's
It's
why
first.
LA going into Philadelphia is going to be our NFC divisional game of the week. And pretty much for all the reasons we just said. Not really much else to touch up on.
No.
I think the conference games of the week are pretty clear cut here because the AFC's divisional round matchup of the week is Baltimore and Buffalo. The Bills are winning, but
Okay, but
Okay, bud.
they
Find
disagree. They disagree. I'm sorry that I don't think the Ravens having a 28-year-old quarterback automatically guarantees them a Super Bowl. But
You know that's not really why I think they're going to win.
But listen, there's some people that think it's gonna be an easy steamroll. This is the playoffs. This is a different ball game. And the week 4 matchup when we had half our receivers out, didn't have Amari Cooper, and Josh Allen had a broken hand.
Well, there are also some people who think not wearing shoes makes you good at life, but
Okay, I'm not backing up Mack Hollins on not wearing shoes. That's crazy. But
shout out shoeless Kevin.
tackle, he had a couple plays that were all big dog plays. And I literally mean a couple because it was like 2, but he had big dog plays.
Okay.
Listen,
but
Ian, I want to see you kick Pat Surtain off of you and show him who's boss.
Mac Hollins didn't even show him who's boss.
guys,
Again, one
we
reception.
have don't forget we have the thing that
And-
everyone's been waiting for.
And
we're still going.
And he lost yardage off of it because of the penalty for stepping over.
Which is when he owned him, and he owned him.
Oh, he owned him by being penalized.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
haunting penalty.
way to be a team player, Matt Collins. Shout out you. You're so
Oh no!
Teach me how to
Oh
fold more
no!
teach, buddy. How about
It's
that?
not like
How
we
about
were already
you,
up
how about you give me more
24/7.
time
Oh
management? Max?
no!
How
Oh
would you manage your time
no!
on
That
and off the
really
field?
sold our game, guys. That really
Anyway,
sold us there.
Continue, Carson.
Yeah. So, anyways, they just went on a long tangent about Mac Hollins. Sorry I started that. I will cut it all so they don't have to listen to it because everyone has been wondering what the college football playoff game of the week is. No one knows. So, drum roll, please. Alex is making a drum roll, but his mic's not picking it up. Your college football game of the week is the national championship between Ohio State and Notre Dame. I know. It's pretty crazy. 2 teams that are on fire, underrated coming into the playoffs, but they made it. They showed the playoff team that they're not the playoff team. They showed the playoff committee that they're stupid and that they need to rework their system, but they made it. And if you want to see my picks, make sure to be following us on all the socials, and you'll find out.
You know, the college game of the week could have also been Mac Hollins versus Ian,
About
but
4 degrees. I would route Mac Hollins up.
he stepped. He was
Mac
getting.
Hollins, Come run the
Surtain was
1v1.
on his
Come run
leg
the 1v1.
anyway.
After I cook you, you're gonna be folding my shirts for a week, buddy.
Bro, you don't have the dog like Mac Hollins
I
does.
guarantee you, I will route him up.
Me when Mack Wilson is just better.
Mac Hollins, come on the pod.
No, please don't. We can do a special episode where we learn how to fold shirts. With Mack Hollins. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that is our podcast for this week. We hope you enjoyed our very wild episode about Wild Card Weekend. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all the stuff. And
Please,
we will see
let
you.
us know if Ian would get absolutely demolished by Mac Hollins. The answer is yes.
It's not yes. Alex, I don't know why you're running your mouth. I would absolutely demolish you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you wanna go there? I would absolutely demolish you.
Mac Hollins versus Ian Watkins.
I'm telling you, I'm winning reps.
We good?
Anyway,
We good?
the segment went from hating the NFL teams to Ian versus Mac Hollins. Yeah, I'm chilling.
And with that, Footballer Nation, let's ride.